And that save by Leno was like, woo, poetry in motion. And he saved the result. So sometimes a save is worth 3 points. As they say in Italy, the place that loves defense the most. Right, Bryce?
And I wanted to talk about, I'm glad you brought Leno up, because everyone, the narrative of Martinez, we shouldn't have sold Martinez. We've got one of the top 5 keepers in the league in Leno. Like, he is a very good keeper. I don't think we need to be worrying about the keeper we've got. And he proves time and time again, he comes up with key saves and you're like, he's the reason we're still in the game. He wins us like 10, 15 points a season easily. Like, the guy he's a very good keeper. And the defence trust him. He's got a good command of his area now. For a while, he looked like he wasn't really in charge. And a stat that blew my mind, then we can move on from Arsenal, I promise. Arsenal.
This is why you told him to speak about Arsenal. Right?
Yeah, get it out of the way.
He would have kept you up until 11 p.m., right?
It could go for hours, to be fair. Arsenal have now, haven't conceded a goal from open play in a month, the last 6 games.
Bravissimi.
Oh, defence.
Holding and Luis.
Holdini and Luis, man. Honestly, it is Rob Holding for England in Euro 2021. He has got to be getting shouts. He's got to be getting shouts.
Holdini and Luesta. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wish. Next game to cover in the Prem.
Let's talk about... Should we talk about Bielsa and Leeds?
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't want to talk about Tottenham already, but yeah.
Mate, it's all about delayed gratification. Make them wait, and then we can really go in on them. Really go in on them.
Go for a little Bielsa ball.
So, Leeds are fun again. I don't know. I love how inconsistent they are. Patrick Bamford got 2 assists and a goal. His finish was ridiculous. Left foot finish into the top corner. His 2 assists are really beautiful. The last goal for Harrison, it was like, on FIFA when you run at the keeper, then last minute just square it to the other guy.
Yeah.
That was Harrison's goal at the end, which was really nice. Leicester, again, inconsistent. We were talking last week about, if they could get a bit consistency, they could push. Like last season, they started to fall away. And this was another poor result. But Leicester were kind of played at their own game almost. All of Leeds' goals came on the counter-attack. And they were just really clinical.
They came back from 1 down and they ended up winning the game 3-1. That's pretty big.
It is. And what really stood out to me from watching it was just, and it sounds obvious, but I think maybe when you haven't watched Leeds in a while, then you see him again, you kind of realise the sheer pace they play at. Like, their players are sprinting for 90 minutes. Like, nobody... Maybe it's from watching Willian and then watching them, but they look like they really are running a lot. And that obviously is what gets them the game, like what gets them these points. And
they are a good 15 over the drop zone.
Oh, yeah, so that's not even a consideration for them. They're not even thinking about
I think that a lot of people, well, I know it through you especially, but whenever I check like Premier League pages, Bielsa does get a lot of stick for some reason. But at the end of the day, wasn't the Leeds' main target to stay in the Prem this year? If so, he's like achieved it already and kind of surpassed it, because Leeds, I think they're one of those teams that when managers have to prepare for them, they kind of go like, fuck, that's going to be a tough one. Because you don't know if they're going to be in their good or in their bad day. And if they're in their good day, talk to Leicester about it, right?
Well, this is exactly. And then they're a team that you need a specific game plan for. I think there's certain teams within the league that you might be like, I don't know, a team like Palace or a team like, I don't know, Brighton, you might not need to specifically tailor a game plan.
Wait, you chose Brighton purposely.
I didn't.
You dick.
Mourinho never picks a game plan anyway. He picks the same game one repeatedly.
I didn't say anything about Spurs. You said Mourinho, but you're the first.
But for Leeds, you need to have a specific, like, how are we going to deal with this, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, some teams deal with it, some teams can't. And Leicester were found out. But
also Liverpool were found out this year, yeah. By the same team.
There's been a few teams slip over him. And I think you have to check out Bamford's goal. It's a beauty. And yeah, Leeds, I think because of the size of club that Leeds are, people forget that their expectation was to survive. Like, people expected them like, it's Leeds. Okay, they've got to be top table, like top half. And you're like, well, that would be like when Nuno did that with Wolves, people were going insane, if you know what I mean. So like, if Bielsa does that, you've got to give him the same amount of credit. And he's doing it playing better football. I don't know.
I mean, they're closer to 5th than they are from the drop zone. So called
They're
that
still
an
above
instant.
us, right? I'm pretty sure they're above Arsenal.
Yeah,
right?
I'm checking.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Keep scrolling down. Oh, no?
They're two. They are 2 points behind Arsenal, believe it
Oh, have
or
that,
not.
Leeds. Yeah.
Good job, Leeds. Yeah, you guys rock. And next up, come on, let's talk about Brighton above. I always say Brighton above Albion, but it's Brighton and Hove.
And Hove Albion.
And
let's talk about Brighton.
Yeah, let's talk about Brighton.
So,
right? When a team, I saw a meme this morning that says, when a team with less ball possession than you ends up beating you, and then there was Piton, what's his name, from Harry Potter, saying, Potter, are you trying to use your own spells? No, my own spells against me. You know?
Yeah.
Mourinho's nightmare, right?
Well, this was, statistically, on XG, this was, over the course of the season, the luckiest team, Tottenham, losing to the unluckiest team, Brighton. So, Brighton have the highest XG, but the lowest amount of goals. And Tottenham have the lowest XG, but the highest amount of goals.
Rory was typing before the episodes, stats that make Tottenham look like shit. Oh, good.
XG. I don't need those stats. They're making themselves look like shit. I don't need any stats like that.
Hey, the vocabulary for the kids, right?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, Mourinho gets out-Mourinho'd to an extent, but from what I saw, Brighton had some very good chances. Tottenham offered 0. Tottenham are falling for the same problem, and I can see how it happens every season. They don't have a backup to Kane, right? But they don't have a backup to Kane because no decent striker wants to come in and be backup to a striker, right? You're not going to get a good striker who's going to go, okay, I'll start 10 games a season. But it means when Kane is injured, which he always is, he gets injured fairly regularly, they're knackered, right? So up front, they had Vinicius of hat-trick fame against Marine, and then they had Gareth Bale, who we need to discuss now as an absolute flop of a transfer.
Yeah, it was kind of funny yesterday when we were here at my house and we were watching the Tottenham game. And we're like, yeah, Bailey's looking terrible. Why don't we put a Gareth Bale highlight reel from his best plays over the years? He did look like the shadow of a ghost of the player that he was. But, I mean, I don't know. Do you think he will be able to turn up or not?
I think Bale, I think he's lost all motivation.
Even for golf or for football?
No, for football.
Yeah, for golf, it's going to be there,
the guy's got
right?
a golf range in his own back garden. Like, I think he's never going to get bored of golf. But I think when you've won everything that you could kind of win in your career, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, your motivation is going to disappear a little bit, and I think.
But actually, going back to the club that made you a star, I think that would be a bit of a motivation, and especially when he came in, like Tottenham were looking solid AF. So I don't really get it.
No, they were, but then he wasn't playing. Like he's hardly got a game, really. He's been played in the Europa and like the FA Cup, but Mourinho hasn't really given him a shot either. So it's weird. You kind of can you expect him to come in and just start like banging hat tricks? No. But then his performance against Brighton, you're like, man, the guy was anonymous. Like, if this is your best hope beyond, like, once Kane isn't there, then you're in trouble. And like when he came into the club, people were like, I myself was like, crap, that could be a frightening front three of like Son, Bale, and Kane if they're all on form. That's terrifying. Any defense in the world would be scared of that. Mm-hmm. But Bale just doesn't fancy it. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember. I think actually we mentioned it in one of our episodes that it could be one of the deadliest attacks in Europe. I mean, Bale, Son, Kane. There you go. Yeah, that would have been nice. Rory, we haven't got much time left. Only 21 minutes. We got to cover all of Serie A. Any more headlines?
I went off about Arsenal. I apologise.
No, any more headlines in the UK besides Messi lingered signing for West Ham? That's pretty big.
That is pretty big. I'm kind of excited for Lingard. I'll be honest. I'm kind of excited for him. I don't really... because he always punishes Arsenal, I don't really like him. But it would be really good to see his career
always. The man hasn't played in like 1 year, right?
Yeah, but every time he plays against Arsenal, he scores. It's ridiculous. But it'd be good to see his career get back on track. A very promising player. One of those players that you have to remind yourself isn't 21 anymore. If you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. He grows old just like we all do.
Yeah, you're like, oh shit, the guy's 27. I thought he was still a teenager. But yeah, West Ham doing some good business. I think that's a very clever signing. They've made Benrahma official, so he's there permanently. Of course, we're talking to you on transfer deadline day. Nothing has really happened in the Premier League so far today, from what I can see. Arsenal are selling Mustafi. It seems like more kind of outgoings than ingoings, really. It's definitely a seller's market. I think nobody's really making moves.
What about Liverpool bidding for a centre-back?
Wow, they are picking up a young Ben Davies from Preston, who is very highly rated. There's been a few Premier League teams sniffing around him, so I think Liverpool are just making that move a bit early. They've also been linked to a guy called Kabak, maybe the centre-back. It's getting a bit late now, though. We'll have to see. But I've heard that the Ben Davies transfer for Preston is pretty much a done deal, which a good young English centre-back could be a clever move for the homegrown status thing for your registration. Probably a good move.
Yeah, when during the spring quarantine, Rory suggested I was desperate for watching stuff. I'm not a big TV show type of guy, but Rory suggested I watch Sunderland Till I Die, which is a Netflix series on Sunderland. And for some weird reason, it made me want to travel to Sunderland and live in Sunderland.
So, listeners, I am going to take Tommy to a Sunderland game at some point when we can go back to the UK.
I've just got to think for working class like cities and environments. But one thing that in that documentary they explained very well, and I mean, I've always loved football, but I've never been inside a club, their venues and everything. They show very well how intense it gets right before the transfer market deadline. It's just like, okay, send a message. Okay, send another message. Okay, send another message, blah, 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 blah. And it's super duper intense. But yeah, watch it in case you like football.
It's a great series. It's a really great series. And I think it shows you it's a real insight into English football as well, I think, and how much it matters to the community. Big fan of that series. Okay, Tommy, right, we're done in England. I think Tuchel got his first win.
Boring. Boo.
Yeah, what else happened? I don't know. That's about it, I think. And Eze scored again and Newcastle won. There we go. Right, Italy, Serie A.
Wait. We've got, we'll preview the games to look forward to later. Serie A, I want to start with a name. We actually want to start an official TAIP campaign, that stands for the Anglo-Italian pod, to bring Mattia, Destro to the Euro 2021 championship. We are all about that. Guys, on the first episode that we ever recorded, I said Genoa have signed Destro. Losers, what do they expect to do? Well, 16 games later, the man from Marche, my same region, has got 9 goals and 1 assist. His best season so far, 13 goals, 2 assists, and 18 games for Roma in 2013. 2014, the guy keeps scoring. He doesn't want to stop, and I don't think that he's going to stop. I'm going to say it once again. I think that Mattia Destro is on his way to the best season of his career, and Mancini, our manager, the Italy manager, he's from Marche as well, so there is a little nice regional connection, and I think that he has been looking at him perform, and now, thanks to him, Genoa are 6 points from the drop zone. That for a team like Genoa, who's been struggling every single year, it's a nice little tally to keep there and to keep working on. All I got to say is that Destro is performing. I did watch highlights from the game yesterday, the game against Crotone. Not the toughest of opponents, but Destro, man, he's got fire in his belly. We did say that.
He is absolutely on fire. Is he going to be the Genovese Bellotti? Is he going to be the one player that kind of keeps them up above the water? Is that what it's going to be?
Yeah. The Genova's Bellotti. I like that. Yeah, right. Yeah, that would be interesting. And then I kind of want to review just like the games, starting from the first team in the league going down. So AC Milan are still leaders. They played against Bologna and they won 2-1 with goals by Rebic and Kessie for the black and red side, and a goal from the former Milan player, Poli, for Bologna. Now, if you haven't watched the highlights for the game, go watch them in the first half. Beautiful free kick by Theo Hernandez, kind of a crazy wide rainbow shot. The first of many good saves by Skorupski. The ball ends up on the bar, and then Skorupski. Two brilliant saves on Ibrahimovic, one after the other. The guy was right in front of him, and he opened up Jan Oblak style. And